I'm your host, Nakia Key of Nakia's Key to the Stars. Do you love jazz? What about gospel? Well, this is the right place for you. Today, I'm super excited because we are attending a very special holiday gospel concert presented to you by National Jazz Saxophonist Andre Cavor, and also featuring National Grammy Award gospel artist Yolanda Adarms is here. And this is all hosted by 9-time Emmy Award winner Dr. Eric J. Chambers. This is a great way to kick off your holiday season, and I got the key to give you all the inside action you want to see. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
Since the last time I saw you, God has moved another mountain out of my way. He's led me to green pastures, turned my midnight into day. He placed my feet upon a rock to stay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nakia's Key to the Stars. I'm super excited because we're sitting here with a vet, I like to call it, the industry. He's been in the industry for over 26 years. He has 4 Emmy Awards as well as 5 Golden Mike Awards, and that's 9 combined. He's very deserving of this recognition. This is Dr. Eric J. Chambers. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. Good to see you finally.
Yes, thank you. Same here. And how does it feel? Now you're in the hot seat. Usually you're on this end. So how do you feel?
Well, you know what? I'm such a veteran at doing what I do, and it's just communicating with people. And so whether I'm holding the mic or somebody else is holding it, it's all the same to me. So.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here again. So first of all, I just want to get right into it. You do have your radio show, The Jazz Bowl, as well as The Cut Chronicles. So tell us a little bit more about those.
The Jazz Bowl is a radio show that I debuted back in, 1994. It's 27 years old now on Smooth Jazz 98.1 KIFM out of San Diego. And so it's been 27 years since I've been doing that. And then The Cut Chronicles. The Cut stands for Chambers Urban Television, and so it's the Cut Chronicles. So I have my Chambers Urban TV network, and for 9 years, 137 episodes, I was on the Word Network. And after doing that for so many years, I kind of felt that it was time to move on and do my own thing. And about 3 months before I left the Word Network, I was sitting at my desk on November 21st, 2011, and I'm trying to figure out what is going to be the name of the show. And the Lord gave me the vision, the Chambers Urban Television Network. And so for short, I call it The Cut. And then with the new show, I call it The Cut Chronicles. And, when I was on the Word Network, that was more of a faith-based show. I still do more family-oriented type shows, but it doesn't necessarily have to be faith-based. Say, for instance, when it comes to, like, housewife shows, I don't cover those. If they don't edify God and people, I don't want to see 2 women fighting and throwing champagne glasses. So that kind of stuff I don't cover. But I cover mainly entertainment stuff in Hollywood. That's where, I do a lot of red carpets. My very first red carpet was 26 years ago with Waiting to Exhale. And I did that in 1995. The last one I did was this past November 28th. And that was a Hollywood Christmas Parade, the 89th annual, which I've been doing for many years as well. So.
Yes, and getting into that, speaking of red carpets, you just had a holiday special called A Very Cali Christmas that's going to be coming up. So talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it debuted just last night, and it's going to be on during the Christmas season. But nevertheless, A Very Cali Christmas is something that I created 4 years ago. I did the first one in 2017. And before that, I did what I call A Very Jazzful Christmas when I was on the Word Network. And so what I just decided to do was, instead of making it a Jazzful Christmas, do Christmas in California, where I live. I'm originally from New Orleans, but I've been in Southern Cal for 39 years. And so this next year would be 40 years. And so I love Southern Cal. And so what I decided to do was, have the Hollywood Christmas Parade as the backdrop, and then show some other scenes, whether it be neighborhood lights or car light shows and all of that kind of stuff, and it's a very entertaining show. And then also it entails a bunch of interviews with celebrities. Like I've had on this recent one, Shaquille O'Neal, Shawnee O'Neal, his former wife, Sugar Ray Leonard, Cheryl Underwood, Shantae Moore, J.B. Smoove, Jeffrey Osborne. And then previous ones I've had people like Kelly Rowland and Cedric the Entertainer and various other people. So
That sounds amazing. And when is that going to be debuting on air?
of course, you can go right now to youtube.com/Eric J. Chambers. That's YouTube/Eric J. Chambers. You can see it there. And then it's going to be running during the holiday season on the Impact Network. And so, but I did the premiere here in Cleveland just last night. And, people all over the country were watching it. So.
And I have to tune into that, so stay tuned. But also, you've interviewed so many different people in different categories, movies, entertainment. Out of all of those, over your 26 years of doing interviews, who was the most memorable interview you've ever had so far?
I think the most intriguing would be Suge Knight.
Really?
Yeah. I loved the interview I did with Suge Knight. We were at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and he and his wife were there with their kid dining. And I had seen him the previous year in Orange County, California, where I live, and then I ran into him a year later. And not only did he remember me, but I'm still in awe that I had Suge Knight's phone number in my phone. And we sat there and we talked and laughed and joked and fist bumped, and he was a totally different guy than what you see in the media. And so that was probably the most intriguing of them all. And of course, Mrs. Mamie Till Mobley, Emmett Till's mother, and Sister Rosa Parks, both of them were my friends. And so just getting a chance to sit down with the two of them and interviewing Mrs. Mamie Till Mobley for radio and television, that was one of my all-time favorites, as well as I'm doing another documentary based on our relationship, because she was a surrogate grandmother to me. And then, Cheryl Underwood is probably my funniest interview, because every time we get together, it's side-cracking. And then also my girl Kalita Smith she used to be on the show called the Bernie Mac Show, and she's a friend of mine, but she is also just, I got to prepare myself when I talk to her because she is totally nuts and in a fun way. And so those are two that really stand out. So several, I should say, that stand out.
Okay, sounds good. And you mentioned a documentary is coming up for Emmett Till. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, in 2000, I brought Emmett's mom to San Diego to do, I would executive produced a play called The State of Mississippi versus Emmett Till. And so I brought her to San Diego, and what we ended up doing was just establishing a great relationship. And when she died in 2003, I was honored that I was one of the people who spoke at her funeral. This is someone I read about in a history book, and there I am interviewing her, and it was just totally amazing to me. And so I did one documentary that aired on the Word Network, but what I'm going to be doing is another one that the plan is to get it on Netflix or Amazon Prime, and it's going to be called Mamie and Me, and talking about her trip to San Diego and my relationship with her. See, people know her as this weeping mother, but she was so much more than that, so much more. And people know Emmett as the sacrificial lamb of the modern civil rights movement, and he was so much more than that. And so that's what this particular documentary, there is no new revelations from the case. And so what I decided to do was reveal more about who we lost in her and in Emmett. And, she and I would talk on the phone for hours at a time. I absolutely loved Mrs. Mamie Till Mobley, and that is, without question, one of my all-time favorite people that I've been around.
Wow, that's amazing. Let's talk about your journey to success. When you were a child, growing up, how did you know that this was the job for you?
My earliest memory of wanting to get into this business was April 4th, 1968. That's the day Dr. King was murdered. And I remember living in the projects, the Desire Projects of New Orleans, looking at all the hoopla with the media. And, Yolanda King, Dr. King's oldest daughter, she's deceased now, but she was my friend, and I told her that same story. And she was just talking about how so many people were inspired by her dad. But that was her earliest memory. And I remember being about 7 years old, telling my grandfather, "Granddaddy, one day I'm going to be on radio and on television." And my granddaddy believed me. Everybody doesn't, but he believed that it was possible, even though he was an unlearned man and he did not have the education. But he believed that his grandson could. And then I showed you a picture of me when I was 11 years old, pretending then what I do now. And that was taken in 1974. And I joined the Navy. That was my ticket from Louisiana to Southern California. And so I was just determined that it was going to happen. And see, it was birth in me. It was an anointing that it's like God reached down from heaven and he plucked me out of this garden and said, "This is your assignment. And you're going to have all kinds of obstacles in the way." And on that journalistic road to Jericho, there are a lot of people who ended up passing me by, crossing over to the other side. And every now and then I found a good Samaritan here or there. But there were way more people who knew me. And as the Bible says, I went to my own and my own received me not. And unfortunately, a lot of times, some of the closest people to you, including family and friends, can be some of your biggest naysayers, as where, people who don't know you are the ones who are standing on the sidelines cheering you on. And so, but nevertheless, it was foretold that I would do what I do. Before, even like in Jeremiah, before I was even in my mother's womb, it was foretold that Eric J. Chambers was even going to be sitting here in Cleveland, Ohio, talking to Nakia. All of this was foretold. And so, and then I just say to anybody else out there who have been given a gift, you've been anointed and appointed for something that nobody else can do. There are going to be other great interviewers, but there's only one you. And one of my friends in San Diego who does radio once upon a time asked me, he said, "Eric, do you ever worry about the competition?" I said, "I never worry about the competition. I let the competition worry about me. I stay in my lane." When I'm going forward, look, there's always going to be somebody better in every area. But as long as you do your best and you continue to work your craft, the sky's not the limit because it's too low. I would have never guessed that I would have 9 Emmys and Golden Mics from CBS. I would have never. Like when I was on the Word Network, I did 9 years, 137 episodes, but I did about 100 of them as a one-man band. People see the glory, but they don't know the story. They don't see what's going on behind the scenes. They don't see the agony. They don't see the frustration and some of the other things that you have to deal with. But you just got to keep on encouraging yourself like David. And so that's what I've done.
Right. And you speak about encouraging. So you have this young adolescent boy who knew that this was his dream and he was determined to make it, which I can relate to you because my grandmother is the same way. And I know it's instilled in me. But what advice can you give to young men and women that are trying to make it? Like you said, they may have the haters, they may have the naysayers, the friends, the family members that are telling them you're not going to make it. What can you give to them? What kind of advice to birth their dreams to come to life?
Number one, continue to work your craft, because in order to be able to get where I am and where you are, it takes a certain motivation and self-discipline. Self-discipline is the number one key. Like Brian Tracy in his book called No Excuses, he talked about all these different things, but the number one thing is self-discipline. If you discipline yourself to do it, and you have to put on blinders, you got to drown out all of the other noise, even some of the cheers. You have to drown that out and keep your eyes on the prize because only you know what God has appointed you to do. There are always going to be, how many times have we seen people who are singers and they've made it big, and then we go to a church and we hear somebody that can blow them out the water, but they are only known in the church. There's a lot of people who are more gifted, that are not famous and known and super successful. But it's also about the vision. the Bible says to write your vision and make it plain. And see, when you make it plain, and then you can run with it, and you can share that vision with others. And so, but you got to have vision first. And then once you have the vision, you have to have the self-discipline to pursue the vision. And then you got to, again, block out, especially the naysayers. They don't know that they don't even know. Because once you make it, they're going to be the first ones there. And I've had someone ask me years ago, Eric, when you make it, I hope that you don't change. I said, I won't, but my phone number will.
I know that's right.
Because if you're not calling me now, there's no need for you to get my phone number then. You know, we haven't talked in years, so you're not even going to miss it. You know what I mean? And so, but for those, again, whether you're young or older, because there's a lot of people right now who are, 50, 60 years old, 70, who have had great visions, but they unfortunately allowed somebody else to abort the vision. I have a saying, once my days are over, and as they're lowering the casket, one thing you don't want is a bunch of ghosts around the grave saying that you orphaned me. As they're lowering your body into the grave, and then there's your vision of this project and that project and that project, and they're standing there, the ghost is standing there weeping and saying, he left me, she left me, who's going to tend to us now? Now you've orphaned all of these visions that you had because you worried about what other people were going to say. We all are going to leave some, but I ain't going to leave a lot of them, I tell you that.
And then there's also the phrase, if I knew then what I know now. So if you can go back and give yourself some advice when you were younger, what would that be?
Career-wise, nothing. Because it was all relevant as a part of the journey. Yolanda Adarms, who we're here to see, Yolanda had a saying, in order to get to, you have to go through. And Andre Crouch, my late friend, he once said, a lot of times it seems as if God is putting you through something when he's really pulling you through something. And so I thank God for that old dusty road to Jericho. That old journalistic road to Jericho. I thank God for the bumps and the bruises because, one, I'm much more appreciative. And on top of that, I'm much more excited about what's happening now. Because at this stage of my life, I'm much more better prepared than if the great success would have come earlier. There's a lot of people who achieve great success early and they squander it. And so there's something to be said for experience. And so as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing that I would do that, differently. I had to go through what I went through to get to where I am today. And I tell even on that journey, I told my daughter Erica, I said, Erica, it's been a struggle, but it was a beautiful struggle. Sometimes worse than others, but we survived it. And now she's at USC. Things are prospering for me, and I could not be happier. So.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. And tonight, you're going to be hosting the gospel concert. So how do you feel? Are you excited or what's going on with that?
Oh, yeah, I'm excited. It's always good to come out and meet other people. When it comes to hosting, I've done it so many times. Am I nervous? No, I don't get nervous at events like this. I engage the people and try to make them excited, and so that's what I'm here for. This is the first time that I've been to Cleveland, and I haven't been other than the hotel and the the airport, but nevertheless, just getting here to meet new people, and it's a wonderful thing. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we're super excited. I can't wait to see you hit the stage tonight and do what you do and what you love. But thank you so much for being on Nakia's Key to the Stars, and keep being a blessing, keep shining, and keep doing what you do. Thank you.
Okay, and you keep on being a key to the stars, and I look forward to seeing you out in Hollywood soon, okay?
Sounds good to me. Thank you.
Fantastic job. Nakia Kavor, fantastic job. Give them a hand, you guys. It has been an amazing evening, and again, thank you guys for coming out this afternoon into the night to be a part of tonight's festivities here in Cleveland, Ohio. Out there, have their souls anchored in the Lord this afternoon? Anybody got their souls anchored today?
Hey, it's Nakia Key, and I'm back with Nakia's Key to the Stars. I'm super excited because I'm here with national jazz saxophonist Andre Cavor. He just hit the stage, and you killed it. How do you feel?
I'm tired, but I feel great. I'm grateful for the night. We had a wonderful evening. It's a wonderful.
Yeah, so tell us, how did you get started with playing the saxophone?
I picked it up from a buddy of mine here in Cleveland, Ohio, named Eddie Backus Jr. I was like in 11th grade, and he said it was a good way to get girls. And I started playing the saxophone, and then I put it down because I joined the Army, and then picked it back up in 2006, and I've been playing ever since.
Well, you're really good at it, I must say.
Thank you so much.
And I'm sure, once you guys see the footage tonight, you'll see what I mean by he was just so good. But you got on stage today, unexpected, of course, with Yolanda Adarms. So how was that for you? I mean, you did such an amazing job.
Honestly, terrifying. For her to be who she is and her stature, it says enough that she has 4 Grammys. And that right there enough. That's like, oh my God, don't mess up. So I'm like literally not trying to overthink and just enjoying the moment. And I'm glad it turned out well, and I'm still in shock of even it happening. I'm at all, I'm like, wow. Yeah. And then we trading off, going back and forth, and then we having a good time, laughing at each other, talking to each other on the stage. I mean, it was amazing. Just a blessing.
So do you have any other projects coming up with Andre Cavor and the Kavor Project?
Yes. Martin Luther King weekend, we'll be doing a yacht party in Florida again. And I have a new CD coming out, and then gospel and smooth jazz and R&B as well. Okay,
and you do urban contemporary jazz?
Yes.
Okay, and what's one of your favorite songs, I guess, that you have?
I played it tonight more than anything. It was a gospel tune. I always go back to gospel because basically R&B, soul is all the basis of gospel music as well, and blues. So gospel is like my foundation, and that's what I thrive on the most, to play.
And there's so many instruments. You got the drums, there's the piano. Why the saxophone? Why was that the instrument of choice for you?
I'm a Cancer. That's my sign. I'm a very emotional man, and playing the saxophone is a very emotional instrument. And it takes the entire body physically to play, and I connect with it. It fits me. And I think emotionally that it's the perfect instrument for a person like myself.
And besides the holiday gospel concert, which was amazing tonight, I'm so glad that I was able to be here. Do you have any other concerts coming up soon?
On the 7th, I'll be at Mitchell's. It's a local club here in Cleveland. Other than that, I really don't do too many clubs and things like that, just concerts and stuff like that. The next big thing would be Martin Luther King weekend in February for Black History Month in Florida.
Before you go, do you have any advice to give to any of the young talent that's looking to make it in the business?
Practice. That's one of the biggest things. And honestly, for any artist or any musician that wants to start, establish a foundation. And what I mean by foundation is financially. Because the world we live in now, you have to have some type of tangible foundation, meaning money, to support your gift and support what you do as an artist. That's the biggest thing. And then it makes the job easier because if you're working a 9 to 5, you're working 10 hours, 12 hours a day, you have no time to practice. Therefore, create a foundation. Take up a trade, barber, I don't know, small business, anything that can support what you're doing as an artist, as a musician. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing that musicians make, the mistake they make. They don't create finances for themselves to build from, to be an artist, to travel, to do things like that, because you end up playing gigs for money other than for the love of music. So you lose the love of music, and you're working, and you're how do I say it? The best way I can explain it. You're working for gig to gig, like paycheck to paycheck, like a regular 9 to 5, and you're not enjoying what you're doing. So you lose the love and a passion of music. So if you have that foundation, that supports what you're doing musically. Yeah.
Well, you did a great job. I know I keep saying that, but you did. You blessed us tonight.
I really appreciate it. That means a lot to me. And that's all it's about, for me. And that's what I mean by that passion, because you when you're working and you're working check to check or gig to gig, you lose the fun and the passion in what you're doing. And that's what I like to give. I want if I can touch one person, and they be like, man, you blessed me today, man. Man, I really needed that. That's what it's about.
And I'm sure you touched a lot of people tonight. Well,
I hope so.
If the public needs to reach you, do you want to give any of your Facebook or Instagram? How do they reach you?
You can look me up, Saxophonist Andre Cavor. If you Google me, that is my Instagram, social media, anything. My website, andrecavor.com. You can find me there. Look me up.
Okay, there you have it. And this has been Nakia's Key to the Stars. Remember that your actions are the key to opening all the new doors to achieve your dreams. Thanks for watching.
Oh slowly lost, 'cause I don't know what I'm gonna do. What if I choose the wrong thing to do? I'm so afraid of disappointing you, so I need to talk to you and ask you for your guidance, especially this day when my life seems so cloudy. Lord, guide me. Oh yeah.